Well, we're done with World's Group Stage 2, or Day 2, and I'm joined right now by Mithy with coverage brought to you by Alienware to talk a little bit about how everything went in that Fnatic match just now. An unfortunate loss for the team, but still a very exciting game. What are sort of your immediate reactions to this? I know you haven't even had a chance to talk to the team yet.
Well, I know what they're thinking. I think I don't think we had a draft that felt good for us, honestly, and I think they had a draft that felt really really good for them. They had a lot of comfort except for their bot lane, I'd say, and even then they played like a pretty solid combo with MF Nautilus, which it doesn't really take uh, you know too much to to execute. So yeah, I feel like it was a very straightforward game for them to play, and as long as they played slow and steady and we didn't snowball out of control, they would be slowly crawling back into control of the game and win. And that's what happened. Yeah, I mean, I think both, like all of the teams in our group are even, and if you don't come out with a good plan that makes sense, I think it will come down to a team fight execution, which has been the case for every single game in our group, and they just had the upper hand in terms of
Yeah.
how easy it was for them compared to ours. Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of curious, how does something like that end up going into the game? Because I know that you guys, you feel like the draft wasn't where you wanted it to be. So is it just the type of thing where like you're kind of going back and forth and you're trying to find stuff, and then it just turns out that like, oh, this is not what we're comfortable with? Like, how did you end up with the lineup or the comp that you had?
Uh, it's not really about that. I think there's just a lot of questions that you ask yourself when you're sorting things out and preparing for the draft, and you also have to take player opinion into account and your own opinion, and try to make everyone happy. And I think it didn't do a good job at it this time around. I think, I mean, I'm hoping that this game helps the players kind of unify around whether it's hating me or figuring out a different way or a different direction that makes sense for them, because uh, you know I think we had a lot of disagreements on what direction to take. So yeah, I'm actually very excited to see what comes out of this loss, because I feel like the guys are very smart and can really learn a lot from things like this.
Are you excited to find out what comes out of it? Because it sounds like maybe after this interview, you're going to walk into a room with a bunch of guys that are going to say, "Hey, thanks for that draft, dude."
I mean, of course, but that's just part of what it is that we're doing, right? Everything comes with a good side and bad side. I can safely say that I feel like I tried my best, and like in this case it didn't work out, and maybe next time it will turn out better.
Yeah.
Like what can I say? I just try to learn from my mistakes and move on, and I'm sure they're gonna do the same, and together we're hopefully gonna bond from this moment and have a better plan moving into the next few
Yeah.
games.
Well, let's talk about a time where it did go right, even though it might pain me, which was yesterday against TSM. So I didn't have a chance to talk to anybody from Fnatic after that match, but it's been a little over 24 hours now. So how confident do you feel against TSM, especially knowing that you beat them this time? You're going to have to face them again for the second round robin.
I have a lot of respect for every team in our group, so there's no like high or low level of confidence. I trust the guys. Like I'm here to win, and that's kind of what we're trying to inspire for everyone else. Is that we're here to not just make it out of groups, but actually win the whole thing, and that should be the mindset for all of us. So whoever is in the way, whether it's LGD or TSM or it's Genji, we're gonna come in, we're gonna come out strong, and we're gonna try our best, and uh, that's gonna be the same thing next time around for TSM.
Help me remember. I mean, I think this is the first time that you have, unless I'm crazy, faced TSM as a coach against them as your former team. Did you?
Yeah.
Is it interesting going into that match against them? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you just think of them as any other team, but I don't know if you're like, okay,
No,
Bjergsen.
no. I
Well,
mean, of course, you have like the extra push, right? Of like, oh, I really wanna win against these guys. Screw them. That kind of thing. Yeah, of course. Everyone has that, but I feel like that's a good thing, right? Like it's why we're here. That's competition, and that's the great part about having bounced between teams so many times and having formed bonds and hate relationships at the same time.
yeah.
So yeah, it's fun, definitely fun, and a lot of respect for the guys, regardless. So
Did you
definitely gonna be as prepared as possible next time around.
did you give Parth a dirty look from the other side of the stage? You're like, oh my! I'll tell him that prove to him that my drafts have always been superior than the stuff he made us play or something. I don't know.
No, no, I think he had a lot to deal with when we were there. So I I'm sure he has a lot to deal with now.
Yeah.
So there's no bad looks being thrown around.
Yeah. Well, how confident are you in the West as a whole? It feels like people are already pretty much counting NA out, whether or not they should or not. And Rogue, I think a lot of people don't have high hopes for them. So it kind of does feel like for the West, it is on you and G2. Do you think that's fair? Do you think that people are counting out some of these other Western teams too early, or do you really feel like it's going to be on you two to have that mantle to make it out?
I think a lot of group stage sometimes has to do with the initial showing and how much that can hurt you in the long run, right? In the second round,
Yeah.
because if you go 0-3 in the first week, it's going to be hard in the second week around. But a lot of it has also to do with how strong the mentality and the mindset of your team is coming into this whole tournament, and how well you can adapt to the second round, how many things you can talk through, and just kind of like reset, learn, and just be a completely different team going into the second round. I think that's a very important part of like this world's group stage, right? Especially since the games are literally all three on the same day.
Yeah.
So that it is a I mean, I think the format is interesting. I don't necessarily like best of ones too much, but yeah, I think I think it takes a whole group to come together
Yeah.
to figure out the second round.
Well, I really wish I was there to be talking to you in person, because it's really fun to see you all dressed up and on stage and all this stuff.
Yeah, suited up.
Yes, exactly. It's a different look from all the times I've interviewed you when you were a player.
Yeah,
And
I don't have the mafia turtleneck anymore. that one was fun.
yeah. Well, either way, I hope Worlds is treating you okay and things are going well. Is there anything you want to say to any of the fans out there?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for supporting us. Cheer the guys up now. It's when they most need it. And hopefully we have a strong showing in 2 days when we play Genji. I think that game is gonna mean a lot to everyone. So yeah, I'm super excited for that game.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for the interview, and for everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things Worlds right here on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching my coverage of Worlds this year. Couldn't make it out to China, but figured I'd make it out somewhere out here. There's a car coming, so I got to get out of the way. But alienware.com/Travis. Go check it out. There's a link in the description below. We're doing a giveaway. Travis 10 off Q3. Let's go.